So, good morning. I'm very happy to see you again today. So let me first recap what we've said yesterday. We've looked at how to prepare the presentation, meaning limiting down the topic, and this is for you. Sorry, what's your name? Eric, okay. In order to prepare the topic, it is very useful to ask yourself these questions, because it enables you to focus on your key message. So you get your presentation more specific and relevant. So by asking these questions, you narrow them down to the arguments you're going to use, which should not be many, because a presentation is a form that aims to present and communicate some knowledge and message, but it is not a book. Okay, so it not be that extended or that detailed. So after that, you start preparing the content. I mean, that was something you just did on your own and taking notes. And then you start preparing the content, meaning what kind of details of stuff you're going to put in the introduction, the main part, and the conclusion, and how you do this. So in other words, in the introduction, you state that whether you're going to what kind of questions will be raised through this presentation first, why these are important for the people to listen about it, and say, for example, that questions will be asked after that, or interrupting while I'm saying all this, etc., etc. In the main part, you present the main bulk of information, what's really important, following an order of questions and arguments. Not too many arguments, 3 to 4, and make sure they always lead to a point. So gradually you build up the arguments which lead to this point. Okay, and then in the conclusion, you just once more repeat the research question, but make sure you summarize. You summarize the findings, you summarize the results, and there are 4 ways to do that. So 4 techniques, which I think are partly mentioned in the handout I gave you yesterday. Now, apart from this, we've looked at how to structure the PowerPoint presentation, what is important. What do you think is the most important thing of structuring a PowerPoint? I mean, when you have when you have to design a PowerPoint, what is the most important thing you would tell me to follow? Exactly. Not too much information. Because otherwise, what happens? Okay, what happens if there is a lot of information? Yes. They don't pay attention to the speaker. They pay attention to the slide. So the PowerPoint substitutes the speaker. Is this clear? Yes. So the golden rule for this is 6 lines per slide, 6 words per line. So that should be the maximum. Of course, there are cases where this is exceeded, but try not to overdo it. Now, a very important thing, which I haven't elaborated on this yesterday, is the font size and the font type. Font type should be simple, not too much too elaborate things, because they are not immediately understood by the listeners. The listeners. So just keep the font simple, not too big, not too small. There is also a golden rule. The more mature the listeners, the bigger the font size. But when you don't know who your listeners are going to be, good morning, welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Great. So if you don't know who your listeners are going to be, and you don't know how big if the font size is big enough so that it is well projected on the screen, you just write it down on your computer and you distance yourself a little bit less than 2 meters from the screen. So if this is about 1 meter and 90 centimeters, let's say 2 meters, and if I can read this, then this will be readable when it is projected. So this is a good tip to know if your font size is okay. If, for example, it's someone quite mature and has eyesight problems, and you know that it should be bigger, then just check it yourself. For example, if I am 2 meters, well, this is just about for me. It's okay. Maybe I need a little bit more. So this is something you should always remember. Also, as far as the PowerPoint presentation, please remember that until you become experienced in using the PowerPoint, because when you present, you're asked to deal with a double role, the presenter and the one who manages the PowerPoint flow. This can be a little bit misleading if you don't know well your topic. So until you become experienced, keep your PowerPoint simple. No one will blame you for this, but you will be blamed if you're a bad presenter. Okay, so generally speaking, keep it simple, the PowerPoint. Now, this is something I think I had to elaborate from yesterday's presentation. And then we move to the actual performance. Okay, performance is generally marked by some type of stress. This is more than normal and expected. I mean, if you're not stressed for performing, then well done. You're a mature actor, I would say. So you know that you're going to be, hi, good morning. So you know you're going to be stressed. What do you do about this? How do we deal with stress? Number one rule. It is a rule. It is not a suggestion. It is not a recommendation. Prepare in advance, practice, time yourself. What does this mean? For example, you have to present an assignment, and usually you do it last minute. I mean, if your assignment is due on Friday, you don't do it by Monday. If you do, you would be the ideal student. I mean, but anyway, maybe some of you do. But in case you don't, because in Greece they don't do it, they do it last minute. So, and they think, okay, it's a piece of cake to prepare a presentation about this, and I'm going to be a flashy PowerPoint, and that would be great. No, this is not so. Why? Because when you write an assignment, you have a full text. Is that right? But if you needed to present it to your audience, this text should be minimized, and you should be able to communicate the key points and your work, what you've done. So what this means is that you need to spend some time on rendering your long assignment into 4, 3, 5 slides, 10 maximum. Because usually the rule with the slides is the amount you've got. For example, 10 minutes should be 10 slides. Personally, I tend to exceed this, especially in conferences where I have more slides. But believe me, it is very, very stressful because you have to summarize so much information and move quickly with your slides. So you miss the actual focus, you miss the actual good impression other people might get from your presentation. So you have 10 slides for 10 minutes, 12 maximum. Now, in order to do this and render your 5, 10, 20 pages assignment into 10 slides, where each slide has 6 words per slide, this is a lot of work. And what people usually tend to do, and not only students, everyone in the world, even at top ranking conferences, is that they copy what they have written in their assignment, in their paper, on the slide. And then they have a full slide, which is hardly followed by the audience. This is all to say that just calculate some time in advance that you will need in order to prepare your PowerPoint. And even if you don't want to have a PowerPoint, because this is extra work, you have to prepare your oral presentation, which should be shorter than your assignment. So, deadline on Friday, assignment is over by Tuesday. Prepare this on Wednesday. Practice it, rehearse it. And very importantly, time yourself. Because when you do it during the actual presentation, it will take you longer. Although you are stressed and you speak very quickly, in practice, this will not be so. So if you time yourself and your presentation is 8 minutes at home, it will be 9+ at the actual venue. For this reason, time it in advance, know how fast or how quick you're talking. Just look at yourself. Ideally, check yourself at the mirror. And this will enable you to see what you're doing. But we'll go over this later. So generally speaking, rule number 1 for dealing with stress in general and in more specifically for this case is to prepare in advance. Next, another thing that takes some pressure off is to familiarize yourself with the equipment and the venue. Do you know where you're going to present? How is the room going to look like? If the equipment work? If, I don't know, all these connections actually work? If yes, it's okay. If no, this is an extra hidden stress. Because it is very stressful for me to come and present and have a computer or a laptop that does not work, and then my PowerPoint is not projected on the screen, and then I have to adjust myself to a new situation, and this creates some kind of, troubling situation, which you acknowledge and you are sympathizing with me, but this does not take the stress off me. So this is something very easy for you to go on another day, on a different day, have a look at the venue, have a look at the equipment, see what works with that. Please be aware with all these updates, because you might have a more recent version of, of any program, PowerPoint, whatever, and then this one does not work on the computer, especially with videos. When you incorporate videos in your presentation, make sure they do work. Most of the times they don't. Yes. So make sure that this is okay. Now, number 3. What else can cause stress to you? Think of possible questions and answers. Usually, the type of questions you get are not complex. Usually, people are polite at presentations. However, at some conferences where this is a kind of exchange of scientific thought and argumentation, people can become a little bit more boring, yes, but they can, no, in questions, they can become more sort of, not aggressive, but very sort of trying to make their point. For example, I have presented something, say that Kazamia 2018 mentioned that. And then you raise your hand and you say, yes, but Johnson 2013 mentioned something different, which is quite opposite to what you're saying. What do you have to say about this? So, and it has happened to me to participate in conferences where academics, they love exchanging in a very strong way their opinions. They love it. Personally, I feel awkward. I wouldn't have, have used this tone of voice and this kind of argumentation. However, be prepared for this. How can you be prepared? Make sure you know all the points you've mentioned and all these references, and also make sure what kind of questions think of some questions that might be raised. And think what you would answer. In case the questions are very tricky for you and you don't know the answer, there are two solutions. One is that you acknowledge and you say that you have never thought about this, and you thank the person who posed this question by bringing this up, and say that you are going to research this further and come back to this. The second one is you can ask him if this is because it's very extensive or challenging. You know this word, British use it when something is difficult, they never say it's difficult. They don't want to admit that something is difficult. They say it is challenging. Or they say it is complex, you know. So this is another way of not saying that I'm not able to do it. So anyway, you can say thank you for this complex, for this challenging, for this interesting situation. However, because it's going to be my answering to this will be very extended, can we go over this to the break, or can we have some kind of communication by email on this and send me references and things like that? So this way, you very politely acknowledge the contribution of someone else, keep your voice calm, whatever happens, and find a way, and this is the way, actually, to somehow transfer this in another day and time, etc. So, rule number 1, to practice with stress, prepare in advance, practice, time yourself, familiarize with equipment, the venue, think of possible questions and answers. Now, some very practical things which very often students do not acknowledge. Sleep early the night before. Why? Because certainly, we have to sleep because our brain needs to rest. So if we're waiting till the early, for example, we have a presentation at 12 o'clock in the morning, noon. Okay, so we have not done it before. We did till 2 or 3 a.m. and then we go to sleep. We wake up very stressed around 8 or 9. But have we actually rested? No. And please, when you do this thing, remember that it is such a pity to have prepared all this work, to present your research, to present your work, and then just because you have not slept enough the previous night, you are not that energetic, enthusiastic, happy about your topic, but you're bored, tired, and want this to get over with this. Think how much time you have devoted on working on something, and then just ending up in something which is not really good because you do not feel well for this. So sleeping and having good night rest is very important. Also, eat something before the presentation. Why is this so? Because, hi, come in, good morning. So, because this thing, what I'm doing now, requires some kind of energy. Okay, if I'm stressed and I say, I cannot have anything in my stomach, just a cup of coffee, then I deprive my body of the energy which is required for me to perform. I'm not saying to have a hamburger and fries and, a glass of wine and just a little bit of dessert and the banana. No. Just have something very simple. Even a banana would be okay. Just have something not before, just an hour or 2 hours before the presentation. Have a small talk with the audience. What does this mean? Do you know what's a small talk? Yes. Well, just coming in and say hello and try to talk to each one of the people next to you. When the audience is big, which this one is not, but when it is big, this is not it might be a problem, but you can speak to the person next to you. You remember yesterday when I told you I want to scholarships due to presentation skills? Okay, that happened to my university a long time ago. There is a European conference, and that was for engineering education. So there was this announcement where they said there's going to be a call of papers, and the university, the fee for the conference was approximately half of my monthly salary. It was a lot. So when I checked at the organizing committee, I saw that there was a member of the organizing committee who was Greek, so I sent him an email and said that it is very restrictive for Greek people to participate in this conference because the fee is so high, so please, would you consider something different for the Greeks? And he said, well, thank you for this, we'll take this into consideration. This kind of, usual stuff. You never know when this will end. Maybe it will have a good thing, or maybe it's a way to, okay, don't bother us anymore. So anyway, after, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks after that, I had a presentation at my university, which was for the good practices we're doing. So I had to present some courses I was designing. It was a Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. 6 people were, were attending the presentations, no more than this. So at that point, I went into the room and I said, okay, let's practice what I'm teaching, which is having a small talk. There was a man just behind me, much older than me. So I say, who is next to me? Okay, let's say hello to this person. Say hello, I am, there, etc., etc. I'm here today. How are you? Where do you teach? General stuff of information. And then at some point he said, where do you teach? I said, the Center for Language Learning and Teaching. Oh, I think I got an email from someone of you, from your stuff, just a little. So, yeah, what are you doing? Yes, okay, I sent you an email, yes, about this conference fees. And then, yes, it was me who said it. Okay, that was it. So then I went up, I made this presentation, and after that I had to say goodbye to this person because I had to leave. So I went next to him, I said, okay, can you stand up, please? Okay, so you're Vassilia. Okay. So give me your hand and just say thank you. Good morning, whatever. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll do something for your case. So that was his reaction, thank you, for my presentation. And then what happened after that? They reduced the fees for the conference to, I don't know, I paid 1/5 of that, or even less. Not just me, all Greeks, plus the Cypriots, who are Greeks, people from Cyprus. So just because I had contacted them before that, and also because I made a good presentation, so he said, well, she looks okay. Why not do something extra for her? I want the second scholarship. Just because of this. So my suggestion is never, ever underestimate any presentation. It is your chance to let people who you are. Okay, so you have a small talk. Please remember this whenever you get to a room. Even if these are people you already know, even if it's your class at the university, you go and say, hello, Eric, hello, Lisa, hello, Amelie, how I had a tough time yesterday. Even this, it's okay. Convert your nervousness into energy. Okay. Now, when we are stressed, we are kind of stiff, or our body is like this. here we are sort of this. So if I'm a presenter, if I'm standing up, I might be very, very stiff. Or if I'm sitting, I might look like this, which is okay because it's informal. But do I transfer my enthusiasm and motivation for the topic to you? No. So what does this convert your stress into energy? First of all, it means that you try to walk in to the podium with, what would you say, the purposefully, with a purpose, meaning, yes? What happened? Is it better now? Oh, yes, you need to see my face. Yes, yes, this is the place. Yes, yes, you're right. And this is also something that you need to see my face expressions. Okay, what does this mean? Now, this is different if I walk like this, relaxed, sort of, and it's very different if I walk with a purpose. Okay, so I'm having a purpose. I'm here for you today, and you're here for me. If you move your hands, then you can, this is some of energy, and you smile. So try to avoid this stiffness. Being stressed always makes our muscles be sort of, it makes our face look very awkward, especially if you have not slept. Now, a good technique for this is 10 minutes before the presentation, you isolate yourself somewhere and you yawn. By yawning, you breathe in more oxygen, and also this relaxes these face muscles, so you don't look stressed and ugly. Try yawning under the mask. You will see how much better you feel after that. Because this way you'll remember that before your presentation. So these are tips that enable you to relax. Also, no, it's not mine. Also, it is very likely that because you're stressed, you will either speak quickly or just speak in a way that is not, it's confusing. Drink some water for this. It is acceptable. It will make you to slow down for a bit and then start again. So this way you will somehow try to impose some techniques on yourself to minimize your stress and the effect it has on your presentation. Okay? So we move on now to something else. No. Okay, there are some things. Okay, yeah. Now, we go to questions and answers, although we've mentioned most of it, which is you welcome anyone asking a question. You can even thank him or her for showing, because when people ask questions, this shows that they're really interested in your topic. So do not take this as an insult. Oh my God, it's not good what I've said. Okay. If something is an error or if something is opposite to what you say, acknowledge it and say that you're going to look into that. We've mentioned that. Do not show antagonism. These are the things we've mentioned yesterday, you remember? And keep your voice low and keep calm. Okay, because the calmer I look, the more relaxed you become. I know when you present, especially when you present for the first time, this is difficult. But yawning, force yourself to smile, and drink some water, and this will be good for the first time. Okay. Body language, very, very important. I mean, you know this, that people can guess what we're doing through body language. How many, I mean, we even see a picture of someone, you know, at the internet, and we can say what he thinks in a way. So, if I am here, once more, which do you think is a good position for you? What's the position you would like me to have? Would you like me to be like that? Would you like me to be like that? Boys do this because they're very nervous. They don't cross their legs, but they sit like that. Because you tend to be, you better be stressed, you automatically change into a position which, I don't know, makes you relax or whatever. Girls might be very smiling, but it's a fake smile. Okay. So would you like me to sit like that? I know these are things you can't control from the very first stage, but when you practice, try to practice in front of a mirror, if possible. If not, try once you have, because in the beginning, the first time you practice the content, okay, you practice saying this in Portuguese or in English. You practice checking how quickly or how slowly you go over the content. You practice the time. You cannot move to the body language or to the movement of your hands. However, the second or the third time, you are going to do this as well. So remember how you stand, how you walk, can somehow affect your presentation. Okay, do you like me walking like this? Getting into the room. Do I look serious enough? No. Do you like me walking like this? See my face? No. Would you like me to welcome you to this presentation? Is this more welcoming? Yes. Okay. So try to balance your weight evenly on both feet, which means don't stand like this. Don't swing. Especially boys do this. Okay, they tend to swing. They don't know they do it, but they do it. Very distracting, because the world around moves you. It's like an earthquake. Okay, so don't swing. Do not do this. Or just, go there and sit like this. Try to balance evenly. Hi, come in. And try to show this, because this shows that you're, really determined and motivated for what you're here to do so. Smile. I think smile is the best, the most direct way of communicating with people. And I'm very happy that Brazilian people smile a lot compared to Northern European who think that smile is something that someone will take some of my space and my freedom and I don't know what else, so I don't smile. However, the way you smile shows what you think. If your smile is fake, it is like this. If your smile is true, your eyes are smiling as well. So beware to smile truthfully. I think Brazilians do, so There is no way, no reason why we should elaborate more on this. Movement of gestures. Okay, movement of hands is good because it somehow breaks the monotony. If I'm here just talking for, I don't know, 20 minutes, and I sit, sorry, I was not able, I sit like this all the time, I look like a kind, good lady, but maybe it's too boring. Now, some movement can indicate even phases of my presentation. For example, today I'm going to talk about presentation skills. So we'll start from the introduction, which will include the phases of presentation. Then we will move to the main part, and in the end, we will summarize everything with a conclusion. So gesture is an accessory to my presentation. Not too much gesture though, okay? Because especially with cultures who are very stiff. I repeat once more, Northern Europeans are very stiff and very reserved, okay? However, with, this Mediterranean style and, like you and us, it's okay to use gestures, however, not big gestures. Generally, avoid having your hands next to your face, because this is something that, I don't know, but it's not nice. And this has to do with girls who all the time, because they are very stressed, they just do this. So I'm going to talk about movement and gestures. Too much movement is distracting. No movement is boring. So not hands close to your face. Not hands close to the hair. Also a good idea, although I can see all ladies here, they have their hair just, they don't cover the front, their forehead. Their forehead is without hair. This is a good idea because it shows that you have nothing to hide. Contrary to this, look at me. If I try and do this, okay. What if I have been presenting like this? Too much movement is distracting. No movement is boring. Am I the same person, even if I smile? So, for girls, remember that this is your time to show yourself, to show your skills actually, not yourself, not your beauty. So try to have a forehead which is empty of hair. Now we move to the facial expression, which is something that I've partly mentioned. Your face generally should match what you're saying. If it is serious, be serious. If it is funny, smile or laugh as yourself as well. Which means that if you have to point out something which is a joke, generally avoid it because not all cultures laugh with the same things. But just do not be that serious as I am right now. Okay. Can you see the difference? I'm very serious right now, and I'm telling you what you have to do. I'm not punishing you. But I am the same person if I say, okay, your facial expression should match your message. Try to be live, welcoming. Am I the same person? No. Voice. Okay. Very, very, very important. The larger the audience, if this room had been full with 100 people, I would have to speak very, very slowly. So the larger the audience, the more slowly you speak. Especially if it's an open air. If this is in open air where your voice is somehow lost in space, you should speak as slowly as that. Speak a little more slowly than expected. Even if this sounds boring, believe me, it's the best way to make your people hear you, because you give them time to listen to your message and understand it, especially when you speak in a language which is not the native language of listeners. The first time I saw this was, I listened to this and I thought, oh my God, she looks as if she is, I don't know, is she okay? But in fact, she knew a lot more than me, was when Hillary Clinton, when she was the spouse of Bill Clinton, so she paid a visit to Greece. It had to do with the Olympics and things like that. So she delivered a speech in an open air. And then the rhythm of her speech was so slow that she was talking to babies. But believe me, even she was saying, vary the speed, speak more slowly in the introduction and in the conclusion. I said, what on earth is she doing? But she knew very well what she did. So the larger the audience, the more, if it's an open space, very, very slowly. Try to speak a little louder than you think is necessary. It is very, very embarrassing where people do not hear you and say, please louder, please put your microphone on, we cannot hear you, or they feel that they cannot hear you. So just try to have a little bit higher voice than usual. Vary the speed of your talk. Because if I speak all the time in the same speed, then my presentation becomes very monotonous. However, if I just change the rate of my speed, this has kind of variety, which is intriguing for you. So do not be monotonous. Try to put weight on your words. Vary the speed rate. Make small pauses, which is at some point where you say, I'm going to talk about the techniques of presentation skills, which is what things you should know in order to present effectively. Now, if you have at some point, some phases of your presentation, you just have 1 second or 2 second little pause, this reignites the interest of the audience. So, and also it gives them time to think what you're saying. Because remember that this is a very demanding job they have to do. They have to sit opposite to you, listen for 10, 20, 30 maximum, understand what you're talking about, get in your shoes, and then if they wish, ask questions. It is rather demanding, isn't it? Okay. So when you do these little things, little tricks, you can change your presentation, something which is far more interesting and engaging. Also, eye contact, very, very important. Usually, start and end with eye contact. Not eye contact towards the end of the room, or the ceiling, or the floor, because you're stressed. Just view each one for 1 or 2 seconds to the eyes. This will create some rapport with them. They will feel they have some kind of relationship with you. So they will be much more interested. They will be much more motivated. They will be more inspired. Do not focus on someone for more than 2 seconds, like, just staring there. No. And try not to look everywhere in the room, because you're very, very stressed. You're not able to handle this at this stage. Especially when you have to read, because it is expected that you might have to read your presentation, and then you start your presentation, but obviously you're not able to say everything aloud and without looking at your manuscript, expected. Just try to have eye contact at the beginning. Good morning, thank you for coming here. I wish to thank Universidade do Estado de Rio de Janeiro for inviting me to this conference. My presentation will be divided into 3 parts. The first part will pose the research question. The second one will report on the results. And finally, I will present some very insightful inferences. However, it is important to note that, etc., etc. So even if I'm reading most of my presentation from my manuscript, try to look at people in the eyes in the beginning, at some other point, and in the end. So you don't remember, possibly you don't remember the conclusion, or you cannot say the conclusion by heart. That's okay. You say, to conclude, my research shows that climate effect can be very damaging for all parts of the world. So it is good to know that reducing power waste can be very good for our planet. Therefore, I am reminded of the words of my professor, who said that water is the most precious thing on earth. So it is not bad when you try to exchange this eyesight. Do not try, because I see many people to learn by heart their presentation, like parrots. It's okay, but it is not so live. It doesn't show, it shows that you've got the skill of learning something by heart and reciting it. It shows that you have worked quite hard for doing that. But I don't know if it creates some rapport with your audience, because remember that what you will remember when you go out through this door is how you felt during this presentation, not what you've heard. At least very little of what you've heard, you will remember. Okay, so try to have eye contact at the beginning, at the end, even if you read the whole lot of your presentation. Then we move to the next slide, which is a very quick recap. So, to go back to the beginning of our presentation, of my presentation actually, that started yesterday, you remember that I said that presenting requires good knowledge of your topic, passion, and good preparation. What I've tried to show to you is that if you're very skilled and very detailed in your content preparation, in your preparation of the actual presentation, and if you follow some communication rules, basic communication rules, you will end up achieving this, which is not that difficult. It is all a matter of preparing and practicing. So this is more or less what I have to say in terms of theory regarding presentation skills. And I'm all ears if you wish to pose any questions or if you'd like more details for this. Do you think it is easy, it is hard, it is too much work? Sorry?
For the first time, too much thing to remember.
Yes. Okay. Now, for this, I have got some tips for you. First of all, you've got the handout I gave you yesterday that includes all the questions. Second, I'm going to give you probably tomorrow or later today another handout that says some of the theory in writing. So if you would like to revise it later on, you can go over this. However, I know most people do not revise things. I mean, you just think that you've put everything in your mind, but this is not so. Third, I have already got some handouts that are very useful for you in the sense that these are English expressions which can be used when you talk about graphs. For example, you have to describe a graph and say that we move from one slot to another and there is an increase of tendencies or there is a rise and fall and you don't know the actual words you can use. These are here for you. So this is what I'm going to give you right now. And please have a look. It will enable you to draft the your presentation in English if you wish to do so. So this is I think it would be better if you just pass it around. Take yes. Okay. And now I have another one. No, you take one. Just yeah, lady. Thank you. I think now what I thought we can do now is show you briefly one of or two good presentations in terms of PowerPoint structuring. Very often what happens with PowerPoint is people believe that, first of all, there are PowerPoints which are aimed to substitute lectures. For example, academics tend to have a lot of written text because then they give this PowerPoint to students. This is not the PowerPoint you're going to use. The PowerPoint you're going to use is the one you have to, it's going to support you. It will not substitute you. The one that's used by academics it substitutes them, meaning that if they are not if students are not present in the lecture, then they go and read the whole thing. Please remember this. Now, what I'm going to show to you is this one, which was crafted by some of my students in the past, which probably is much more known to you than to us, although climate change is important for everything. So you can see this is the first picture, the first slide. Very, very clear and very eloquent to the danger, okay? You can see even the lettering that is in red shows that there is some danger. So then we move to this. Just 3 lines, very straightforward. And then they are doing what we said, that you have to show what you will present. Not all people do this. So they say that what will be to present to see is the problems of climate change and other dangerous foods and how climate change can affect all these things. So they say what is the outline of the representation. And then they talk about wheat, for example. They provide us with a picture, so this enables everyone to understand what is wheat if they don't know the term. This is a way that you eliminate jargon or special terms which are not known to other people. Very, 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 very clear, the factors, the result, etc. And then there is the part, so you can see that it is not a overwhelming slide. So what they say that, I don't know what they said here, that something with the climate change, I suppose that it promotes land desertification. So you can see this. Then they put in, there were students, so they just try to enliven the whole thing. What happens to the cocoa plants which affect you? I don't know if what they wrote is true. I hope so. So what are the factors? What happens? You see warmer temperatures, drier weather conditions, and what happens due to these factors? Fungal diseases, growing areas, etc., etc. So no more chocolate. This is real threat. This is something I'm dread of. But possibly I'll be dead by then, okay? What happens to fruits and vegetables? Potatoes, because of climate change and rise in the temperature, avocado. So, and then they relate what this means to our lives or what we can do. I mean, they said what is the impact for our lives, no more chocolate, no more beers because we don't have wheat, no more, I don't know, fruits. But then what can we do in order to avoid this? So they say, in order to keep tasting your favorite ones, keep the environment safe, change your diet, adopt eco-friendly habits, use less plastic and recycle. And possibly consume less water, I don't know. So they just remind of us what we like. And this is the way they relate what I told you. Try to relate your presentation to people's lives, because this will make it more meaningful. I mean, I don't know if I would bother that much about climate change if I had not had thunderstorms at my home, or if I just said, oh, I'm not going to have chocolate when I am 90. Okay, so try to see what are the consequences for this. So that was a roughly good presentation, because it is this interaction between the actual text and images, and there is plenty of time and space for the presenter to become the actual focus and star. Okay, I can show you another one, which I think is more structured, and I think it was about dolphins. No, it's about sharks. Okay, so is this about shark extinction? So this is very straightforward. If you provide this slide where you see where you explain what is the outline of your presentation, you somehow provide the listeners with a map. They know where are heading to, and it is excellent to do so because they don't feel they are lost. So just adopting such a thing would be excellent for your presentations. Yes, 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 you can do so. But you can tell before concluding, I'm going to show you the shark facts, why these are under extinction, what happens, etc. Make sure you show the stages. Then they define what it is shark. We are more or less all know, but I don't know why they had to prove. For example, we don't know. I mean, I didn't know that it's among Earth's most ancient animals, or that there is a I don't know, something, whatever. They provide with the length and the size of the shark. What's next? Okay. Then what is the issue? The issue that it's because of the overfishing. There is a demand for shark fins and there is a pirate fishing. Keep an eye on the amount of text which is on the screen. Very easily readable, very quickly readable. It is not a burden for you. It is not a stress for you. I don't know why they just had to present this. Possibly because they are caught on the nets. So what are the other issues? What are the other reasons that we've got extinction? It's ocean pollution. I don't know. Greater wild. This is the endangered species. So they just provide us with all these, and it's good that they have pictures so we know what they're talking about, because not everyone knows the difference between blue shark and hammerhead shark. So why do they matter? This is the most important thing of the presentation. Why does this matter for us? And this is the answer. So this is the, there is a problem with the marine system. And it tells us where there is this problem and lack of balance of marine system. So you can see what happens. So we are not, it says it's harmful algal blooms sometimes create toxins that are detrimental to fish and can impact larger animals. So if algal blooms are not toxic, they can negatively impact aquatic life. And then what happens is we have got less fishing quantity and we have more toxin infused through fish, which can jeopardize human health. So I don't know what was I know what was the content of the presentation, but I'm not able to present it. But you can see that even images up to an extent can show some continuity. They don't show the entire content, but it's not something which is disturbing. And this is the final outcome. So What can you do? What can everyone do to avoid this? Reduce the use of plastic, recycle, participate, clean up, spread the word, support organizations. Solutions, I don't know, possibly that was a video by WWF. Also one of those organizations that support. And then it's this 6-time electroreception, I don't know, for every human killed by a shark, we destroy about 2 million of their kind. Every minute, 190 sharks are killed. So, and this was the end. So more or less, what I'd like you to see is not the actual presentation, is the balance of text and images. This was the point. My presentation has very little images. It has more text. It's not whether you have flashy things and images and videos, it's how this is transferred to your listeners. Okay? So what I suggest we do now, if there are there any questions, any more details? Yes.
Is there a rule for arranging, like you have big equations and you need to show them, they are crucial for your work.
Mm.
There is a maximum of equations you can put in the slide. What kind of information can you not show and still be, and you still can get on with the flow of the explanation.
Okay. Yes, I get what you mean. This has to do with the research,
Yes.
where we have a lot of data and a lot of arguments and etc. etc. So in this case, what you can say from the very beginning is that because of time limitations, my presentation will focus on the most important findings. For any extra information or more details, I will be available for any discussion, or I can send it by email to you, or I can refer you to my paper where you've got the whole information. So from the very beginning, you just put the border, show to the other people that this is not everything. Okay, so they know, because if they raise a question afterwards, well, you've missed that, and that should have been, you said, yes, that is right, but I mentioned from the beginning that time limitations do not allow me to explain and present to you all the data. Now, in this case, usually, when it's a very big research, you don't present every research question. You pick some, so you save this part for another conference. If you have to present it all, for example, if it's your examining committee, okay, if you examine your master's thesis, or if it's then, and if you ask them beforehand, how long is my presentation going to be? 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so if it's 30 to 40 minutes, you need to have maximum 45 slides. In this case, what I would do in your case, I would very briefly, because the examining board committee, they are quite knowledgeable about my topic, so you don't have to define things. Okay, for example, the electromagnetic field, etc., etc. You don't have to tell them what an electromagnetic. So what I would say is that I would provide in the beginning this outline. Very important for academics that you provide an outline. Okay, this one. It's not introduction, they should have written outline on top, okay? So what I would do is I would tell them, today my presentation will last, for example, 40 minutes, and it will cover this topic. First, I'm going to present the research questions posed. Then I will show the results to those questions, and then I will present the implications. In the end, a few points of my discussion will also be presented. So you provide this outline, And then you go to those research questions. I don't know how many research questions you've had, which are the most critical and crucial. I would also ask you to have printed your PowerPoint presentation on paper and deliver it to your academics in case this does not work. Okay, so they have it in front of you. And also, in this case, possibly I would have made some footnotes that explain something extra. This type of thing, the introduction, shows that you're very diligent, very clear with your presentation. The clearer you are, the more it shows that you know what you've done. And you did it yourself. Can you get what I mean? So this outline shows to someone, yes, I know what I did and I did that. But I think more or less 40 slides is a lot. I mean, there is a lot to be said there. If it is something that has to do with sciences, what do you study? Okay, so it has to do with sciences. So in this case, you put some of the tables. However, make sure, because yesterday we talked about this, it's make sure your tables are very clear, because okay, first of all, try to stick to line graphs because it's very, very evident to your professors, to your academics, where things go. Very clear table. Okay, because remember that the day you present, possibly another 5 people present. I don't know if they have 1 presentation per day. That would be ideal, but if it's, for example, 3 or 4 exam dates, your professor might have to attend 5 presentations. Believe me, by the 3rd they would be off, which means that they would not be able to follow you that easily. So in this case, you make things very clear to them. You provide them with a handout, so it shows that you're very, very neat, very clear. When you show information in this way, very easily recognizable. If you show, for example, tables like this one, make sure that you point where they should look at. Because tables, if you just extract the tables you have used and you put it there, they have to orientate, okay, what am I going to look now? So you say, right now I'm talking about, for example, marital status for married or no women, and we've got 20 versus 46. Okay? Any other? Yes, please. Sorry? Yes. No, no, no. That was not deep. No, not at all deep. No, they were meant to learn the techniques. It was not research. No. No, if you wish research, then I can show you something different, but not. No, that was not research based. If you grasp the techniques and how to narrow down your topic or expand it, then it's ideal. Then you can put, you can fit everything in. Yes, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Anything else? No. Okay, we have a 10-minute break, and then we come back to attend your presentation. Are you ready for today? And I think Mr.'s, well, the gentleman's presentation, and see the kind of, see how this works for you. Okay. So it is Felipe's time now to present to us. Felipe has asked me to read just the titles of the slides before he moves on to the next slide. So we are very happy, Felipe, to have you today.
Yeah.
And to be so courageous for us, so that you present after, again, just after the theory.
It's
Well,
necessary.
yes.
Good,
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, please.
Good morning. My name is Felipe Monteiro. I am a visually disabled people. I am 44 years old. I am 1.70 meters. I am a man with white skin. I have dark brown hair and eyes. I am wearing a red blouse, a black legs and pants. I am using a green pencil and a sunglasses. Okay. I would like to speak for you about the audio description. Okay. My presentation has 12 slides with black background and white letters. Okay. I use these colors because it's very interesting for low vision people. It's necessary to use a big contrast. Okay, it's good for low vision people to see the presentation. It's more comfortable. Okay,
Excuse me, Felipe. Please, you need to carry a microphone.
It's better. Okay, it's
Yes,
better.
much better.
Okay.
Much better.
I did my presentation with black background and white letters because it's very comfortable for mainly for low vision people. Okay, a big contrast. It's comfortable for this public, for these users. Okay, I always build my presentation with these colors. Okay, next slide. The first slide. Sorry, the first slide. I put the first slide, please. I put the image, the symbol, the audio description symbol. Is letters in black, letter A and D. The audio descriptions symbol. Okay. The next slide, please.
Self-audio description.
Yes, self-audio description. It's so important to do your self-audio description in your lectures, in your classes. It's so important for users, the audio description. Okay, I would like to teach the self audio description for you. Okay, the next slide, please.
Physical characteristics, clothes, accessories, place.
Yes, it's necessary to organize your self-audio description because users need to build the image on mind, okay? So it's so important to organize the points. The first point is the physical characteristic, the name, the age, the skin, the hair, the eyes. Is so important. The first, the first point, okay? The second point, the clothes. The clothes, the blouse, the shirt, the legs, the shorts, the shoes. It's so important to describe with colors. The colors are very important for the audio description too. Okay? The next, the accessories. The accessories are very important to build the image. The human image is so important. Okay? Watch, earring, sunglasses, glasses, okay, bangles. It's very important. Last, the place where you are. The room, the living room, the bathroom, the bedroom, the kitchen, the garden, on the street, okay? These topics is very important to construct, to building a self-auto description, okay? The next slide, please.
What is audio description?
What is audio description? Audio description is a communicational accessibility resource. This resource is so important for different people. Okay, with audio description, it's possible to convert visual information and into verbal information. Okay, the audio description is as a translation. It's a very important translation to convert visual information and verbal information. And audio description can be in different situations, in different places. Okay, the next slide, please.
It is a cartoon, audio descrição, and then consulto Felipe Monteiro com
Congratulations. This is my kid book. Okay, the cover is blue. There is a black girl. The black girl is called Isa. Isa is wearing a yellow dress with letters in red, A and Z, out description. Okay. Next, there is a dog. Her dog is called Dinâmico. Dinâmico. There are three patas, pals. No, I don't remember. The name of this book is No Mundo da Audiodescrição, in yellow color, and my name in white color. Okay, I would like you visit my website and download free my book. This book is in multi format. Okay, you can access the PDF, the audio with audio description, the only audio, okay, and the video with libras and subtitle for deaf people. Okay, next slide, please.
Guidelines, places in and out, things inside the places.
Guidelines. It's necessary to organize your description. Okay, it's necessary to describe some points in your describe. describe place, né? Place in or out, it's necessary to describe, and describe the things inside the places, okay? Next slide, please.
Users,
Uh,
visual
uh,
disabled,
come back.
guidelines,
Other.
things inside the places,
No, before.
places in and out.
No, the other
Okay,
guideline.
yes, guidelines. Describe, you can see the most important.
Okay. Describe things you can see and the most important things. Okay, it's necessary to describe just the important things in on the image. Okay, it's not necessary to describe all. It's impossible, and it's very boring for the users. Okay, pay attention. The next topic.
Logical order.
Logical order is very necessary. The organization, the clear text. Okay. Next slide, please.
Physical characteristics, clothes, accessories, and action.
Yes, physical characteristics, clothes, accessories, and actions. It's necessary to describe actions too. On movies, for example, it's necessary to describe. On a still image, it's necessary to describe the actions too. Okay? The next, please.
Places in and out.
Yeah.
That
The next.
Okay. Users.
Users.
Visual disabled, blind and low vision, monocular, deaf blind, autism, dyslexia, attention deficit, elderly, low literacy.
Yes. The audio description is free for all people. It's a resource very interesting for all people. But this public is using a lot the audio description in different contexts, in different places. Okay. So the audio description is so important resource. Okay. The next slide, please.
Team, screenwriter, consultant, narrator.
Yes, to building the audio description is necessary a lot of professionals because it's a specific text, okay, for a specific public. So it's necessary some professionals. The first is the screenwriter. The screenwriter is a professional that convert visual information and into verbal information. The first professional, okay? After the consultant, I am a consultant in audio description, okay? The consultant is a visual disabled people. It's necessary to be a visual disabled people because we use the audio description every day in different places. So it's very important visual disabled people to review a text, to understand the text, to build the image on mind. Okay? The last, the narrator. The narrator is a professional that is put the voice on audio description. In some, in different situations, is need to put voice for audio description. In other cases, it's not necessary to put voice for the audio description. Okay. The next slide, please.
Modalities: opened or closed, still images, dynamic images, live events, tactile images.
Yes. The audio description can be reproduced open. Okay. all people can listen the audio description. For example, in a class, the teacher can reproduce the audio description for students. All students listen the audio description. Okay. In other case, the close, when I receive equipment to listen the audio description with my phones is the close the audio description. Okay, the audio description can be in still images, for example, photographics, cartoons, graphics, tables. Okay, in dynamic images, for example, moves, soap opera, shows, okay? In other case, in the live events, for example, concerts, dance is presentation, in classes, seminaries, congress, okay? It's possible, fairs, it's possible too. In the tactile image, it's very common, teachers use the tactile image on at the school, for example. So when the students explore the image, he can listen the audio description together the exploration. Okay, do you understand? The next slide, please.
Equipment.
The equipment. It's very common the narrator in audio description use the cabin to narrate the audio description, to read the text, the audio description text, okay? It's needed to transmitter também, too, because the narrator use a microphone to read the text, the audio description text, for the users receive the audio description. In a theater, for example, okay? The next slide, please. The next slide, I show the
receiver phone.
Receiver, the equipment to receive the audio description, okay? It's very common, the equipment, very simple equipment to receive the audio description, okay? The next, please.
Access, mobile devices, QR code, ray, pen top.
Yes, it's possible to receive audio description in different situations and different equipment. Okay, mobile devices, for example, cell phone, tablets. Okay, QR code, a code very popular in Brazil. No, the user can use the QR code to access the text, the audio description text, and the links, for example, to access the audio, the video. It's very important. Braille, it's possible to read the audio description with the fingers, okay? And the pen top. Pen top, it's a pen with a lot of buttons. Can choose the volume, the turn on, turn off, the choose the track, okay, the audio track in the equipment. The pen, there is a special tag, okay? When the user put the pen on the special tag, he can listen the audio, the specific audio. It's very interesting in different places, for example, the museums, the galleries, okay? The user put the pen in the special tag and listen the audio description, okay? The next slide.
Contact.
My contact. I would like to visit my website, consultorfelipemonteiro.com.br. I would like you share my material, okay? I have a lot of papers, presentations, lectures, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Felipe. Thank you. It was a very, very, is okay. Anyway, because we have a dual micro, possibly. Yes, that's right. So it was a very, very interesting presentation. Is there any questions? I do have a question. Is audio description something you have discovered yourself, and you have, you have managed to put this into some kind of structure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have discovered this rationale of how to sequence, to put in a sequence what you are describing to the visually impaired people. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have discovered the method.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you promoted this somewhere, for example, to the Ministry of Education as a method?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Necessary to put.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have received the copyright for this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well done. Thank you very much for this.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, and I would like to point out that it was very nice that Felipe kept smiling when he was presenting his work, which made us feel very, I would say, apart from being welcomed by him, but very, very, very nice. I mean, it was very, in a sense, he shared his enthusiasm. So that was really great, apart from all the other hard work he's put into that. And you receive many congratulations for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Felipe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, yes, please. Okay. Let Felipe sit, and then Felipe, there is one more question for you. So I think people are very interested to your work. This question is from, can you please stand up and speak a little, or let's give him the micro.
Yeah. I had the impression that the concept of audio description is about describing what could be seen to visually impaired people with difficult to see, what could be seen to people who have this kind of difficulty. Does this concept involves everything could be seen, or just specific things like media or books and everything? Everything. Like if you have some kind of guide that he's seeing things that like the scenery, and he's describing that can fit in this concept.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's possible to describe weddings, fairs,
Concerts, ballets.
I just wanted to make this clear because I had the impression that this concept was very focused on media and such, but it's literally everything that can be seen.
I work
Felipe, here's the micro for you.
I work with erotic movies too. Okay, audio description for erotic movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because it's a product that it's no possible. The people don't can't use this product. With audio description is better because people can see and can have the opinion about this product. Okay, it's possible to inside to put audio description in different situations, in all situations. Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to define better the concept in etymological terms about what is and what could not be defined as audio description. But apparently it's a very broad term. Everything that can be seen, can be defined, can be seen and can be described is thus audio description, can be fit in audio description.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Felipe, may I add a comment too, please?
Oh,
I'm here near the colleague. When we read some news, and the news, in the news there is a picture, always there is a legend named para cego ver, and the description. Is how it's named? Is it a kind of audio description in terms will be converted in an audio or not?
More and less. Because the Pra Cego Ver was created by Patrícia Braille. Is a very famous teacher on Brazil. Okay, but the people describe the image, but the people didn't learn about audio description. Okay, it's described, but it's not a technical describe. Okay, I don't like because I am a audio description professional. Okay, but it's good for media social. Okay, a fast content, but for a professional, for a audio description professional is not good.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Thank you very much. So it's your turn now. Thank you very much, Felipe. Can you please? I'm just going to. No, I'll give you your USB stick in a moment.
Hello, good morning.
Just a second to upload your.
Okay. It's come on talk, yes. To beginning. I'm so nervous to be here to show my research, but I'm happy. The good opportunity to show you my research.
So which one is it?
Let me see. I don't know.
English.
Not English. I forgot when I put it.
Mestrado, semestre.
Mestrado.
Okay, mestrado then should be
No.
conectividade funeraria.
No. In the end.
Resultado.
No.
There is a PowerPoint. There is PowerPoint are only.
Could you, in the beginning of the... Sorry, I don't know where is it. Maybe eventos. this here. Input.
Is this one? Rebes Funebres English.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. So we can see, I think that this is the base of the pyramid, of the Helps pyramid.
No, it's not. It's not the pyramid. It's a part of the lamentation wall, a sacred wall in Jerusalem.
Felipe.
Have you heard about it?
Thank you.
So, good morning. I am Paulo, and I'm here to show my research, funeral connection and burial rites between Israel and ancient Egypt. It's an analysis of antiquity, Israel Antiquity Authority excavation. Israel Antiquity Authority excavation, it's a department from the government of Israel carrying on about the excavation in the country. And so you can see more information in this Facebook link here about the research, the excavation, and they have a page, official page about it. And this is the paper, the article that I extraction this presentation, a new study in the archaeology of Jerusalem and its region. And in this excavation, in this place here, this is a Menaha town, close to Jerusalem. And you can see Rephaim Valley. It's a very urban area with resident neighborhood. You can see here a zoom, a small, and in this photo area you can see a very urban area with residents, neighborhoods, streets, roads, and in this place you have another. Hello. In this place you have another town, Beit Sefafa's town close to Menaha. It's another archaeology site that you talk about more later. And in this place, a slope reveal a tomb we covered with rock and in the valley, in Rephaim Valley. Now, that I told you, it consists of a small zoom and a residential neighborhood surrounded by street and road, and the expansion of the Nemaha town reveal 67 tombs of an impression cemetery from the Middle Bronze Age. That's amazing. In this town, it's a rural area. The archaeology found 67 tombs revealed in this area. And this is for you see the kind of caves the tombs were found. We're gonna talk about Tomb 7, this specific tomb. In this area, the archaeology found 2 temples. So you can see a necropolis in Jerusalem, just like the Valley of the King, just similar at the Valley of the King in Jerusalem. Archaeology bury its link more to material culture about the way of life instead of a question about death. Where I'm going, what I'm here, where I'm going to go to the death before I death. A question, it's more about question about social status, religion, customs, and collective burial practice reveal attitude, connective relationship between Canal and ancient Egypt. this is a new perspective about everyday life, linked to always linked to a divine power that I'm showing more late. And this divine power is always shared and permeated by our economy through the funerary exchange fostered by a multiculturalism. Indeed, it's many cultures sharing in the same place without no problem. In ancient Egypt, the first community regarded to agriculture in treatment of mass burying, the desert became a natural necropolis to burying people. And after the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, after the period of the Great Pyramid, the pharaohs began to dig a tomb in a rock in Biban el Moloch. It's known a valley of the king. Excavation map that's presented by Israel Antiquity Authority outlined a very grandiose necropolis look like the ancient Egypt in Jerusalem. That is with temples, tombs. Besides 67 tombs, has 2 temples in this necropolis in Jerusalem. Interdisciplinarity analysis reveals perspective of pattern of behavior regarding to burial funeral. It's very approached to context to surround people such Egypt and Israel. Now, according to UERJ research, the valley of Rephaim in Jerusalem was likely known a burial place of biblical ancestors. It's because in the valley, Rephaim Valley, it's mentioned in some passages of biblical documents, and you can check this in this passage here more later. For the Israel Antique Authority, understanding of the valley is and its dead, you expand with the future research. So we're gonna know about the society of the Bronze Age more. You can excavation in this place. According to you, no, this is not necessary. Although most of the tombs are damaged with the expansion of Nemaha town, tomb number 7, look at this, was found preserved and intact, sealed as common by a great stone in the entrances. And in the center of the tomb was found a bone of a man in position to the north. Inside one of the jambs, in the chamber, it was found 2 jambs measuring about 15 centimeters each. It was found. This is the draw of the chamber and some information about it. And this is the archaeology put out the storage jam from there. This is a reconstruction from the chamber inside and how they buried the people inside and surround ceramic assembles. In addition to bones laid down in the floor, different shapes was found, ceramic fragments, a possible basic of another storage jump. So they found 2, but a possibility to have a 3rd storage jump inside. And a piriform jump was there too. A piriform jumps is used to serve wine, for example. And this is the draw about the ceramic assemble that was found in the tomb number 7. We had canarate bounce, like that, a beautiful juggalette to use to serve wine, and you have a juggle base to another storage jams, and a storage jams, né? 2 storage jams was found there. One of the jams, né, was cut, né, containing animals' bones, né? One of the jams, né? It was sorry. What the other side? Sorry. One of the storage jam was cut precisely, yes, and in the part of the jam was found animals' bones, and the other parts it's possible to close to protect the upper end inside the chamber. This is the part of the storage jam that he found bones. Animals' bones inside. And this set of ceramic was understood by archaeology funeral kit. It's very common to use in that day, to have a funeral kit. I think you have to buy something for yourself one day. A funeral kits follow a ceremonial part of sets funeral ceramic. Although the tombs are distinct, in terms of individual social standing, they all exhibit observable pattern that are a specific notable repetition of these kits, the funeral kits. Bakers observed this funeral kit launch an approach to the funeral connection between Israel and Egypt and others people too. This mortuary uniform leads to believe that certain items reveal ceremonies and not just socio-economical stature. So it's not about personality, but about burial rites when you are burying in it. And you can see this in the canopic vase in Egypt. You can always find different canopic vase with wood, with gold, with ceramic, but only for representing a divines from mythological Egypt. So it's a pattern, yes, for the burial rites. Not surprisingly, this ceramic have parallel with other archaeology sites. For example, Jericho, Holy Land. So it's not specific in Tomb 7. You can find this repetition of ceramic in others archaeological sites in Israel. Beis Safafa, another town, vase with the same configuration date were found. Same configuration were found in another archaeological site. Most surprised, a beetle from the ancient Egypt strongly corroborates the connective relationship with this. And in Beis Safafa, this is a photography of the caves. And you have this cave here, where the archaeology found these battle, total battles. And microfound remains were discovered in this storage jam, what was intentionally cut. They analyze, identifies, okay, thank you, identifies amphibians. It's frogs inside there. And the Taxonomic classification allows the identification of the list of 9 frogs inside the story jump. Yes. I'm going to go, and this is a graphic that two archaeological, different archaeological sites, we have a specification of the bones of the frogs. Okay, I'm going, and so the archaeologists discovered that the frog was decapitated. It's part of the ceremony in the burial. Okay, I can finish here. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry because it's not the slide that I prepared tomorrow. This is another, and I didn't find it. But thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. Though, if I may, I just like to point out that if we go to the beginning of the presentation, I think the first page was okay. Now, as this one is a rather big and, yeah, sure. As this is a rather long and very detailed presentation, you need to provide in the beginning funeral connections to various sites an outline. For example, I'm going to present the overall site, the archaeological site. Then I will focus on this tomb, and then I will relate this to that and that. Because if it is not, if you don't give this outline, then possibly the listeners may get lost. So it is very important, since we are an audience who knows very little about the topic. So in this case, it's better to provide an outline, what you're going, and try to split this presentation. For example, write introduction in the beginning, main part, and render this into some question. For example, Tomb 7, new findings. Because this way, most of the times you had this, the title of your presentation, Funeral Connections, yes, as a straight, as a title. But this does not enable us to, if we get lost, to find our way again. Okay, so this would soothe the area which is not known to us at all. Okay? Thank you very much for this. Thank you all. A last thing before we say goodbye today is I've got, there is a list of things, of tips that you have to do, and there's that you don't have to do when you prepare or when you deliver. So when you prepare your presentation, it's very good that you check this afterwards and say, yes, tick, I've done this, I haven't not done that. These are do's and don'ts, and also they back up the theory in a practical manner. Okay, so this is for you, Felipe. Yes? Okay, you will send, yeah, okay. So thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so you get one and then. And please, how many of you will present tomorrow? It's going to be, will you present tomorrow? Yes? You too? Will you present too? Okay. Yeah, you mean USB stick? USB stick, you mean the pen driver? Yes, yes, or you can email this to me. Also, please be aware that it should not last longer than 10 minutes, so we have time to have questions and discuss it and see how this could be refined further. Okay? So thank you very much for your patience. Do you have a handout? No? There is.
Teacher, this is not the PowerPoint that I prepared
Yes.
last night with your instruction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is another PowerPoint.
Okay, no problem. No problem, but you practice yourself.
It's very far of
Yes, I know.
but this is not the one
That's
that I
okay.
would like to show.
That's okay. You will see in the future. I mean, it's not something. Okay. Excuse me? Yes, it's over. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yes, I'm going. Oh, no, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, here you are. Thank you. Yes, I was not aware, but that's okay. Yes. Is there a